Breaking news for all U.S. green card holders. The government has announced 7 brand new immigration travel rules, and these could directly affect how you enter and leave the United States. These rules aren't small adjustments, they're serious changes that, if ignored, could put your green card status at risk. Longer delays, harder questioning, and even losing permanent residency could happen if you don't stay informed. Welcome back. A green card is one of the most valuable documents you can hold. It gives you the ability to live, work, and build a life in the United States. But permanent residency comes with real responsibilities. And one of the biggest is international travel. Visiting family overseas, going on business trips, or even taking vacations is part of life. But for green card holders, it's not as simple as just buying a ticket. With these new rules, international travel now requires much more careful planning and preparation. Today, we'll walk through all 7 rules in detail, explain what they mean in real life, and most importantly, share practical steps you can take to protect your residency and avoid unnecessary trouble. Let's start with the first rule: extended travel. For years, there has been a guideline that green card holders should avoid staying outside the U.S. for more than 6 months. But now, that guideline is being enforced more strictly. If you stay abroad longer than 6 months, officers at the border are instructed to question you closely. They will want to know whether you still treat the United States as your permanent home. And if you stay outside the country for more than a year without a re-entry permit, your green card may be considered abandoned. Picture this: a man from India receives his green card after years of waiting. He's thrilled, but 6 months later, his father falls ill. So he spends 8 months back home. When he returns to the U.S., the officer at Customs pulls him aside and asks why he was gone so long. The man explains about his father's health, but because he has no ongoing job in the U.S., no active lease, and hasn't filed taxes. The officer doubts his ties to America. This situation now has a much higher chance of leading to legal problems under the new rules. The lesson is clear: don't take long trips abroad lightly. Every absence counts. The second rule deals with re-entry permits. If you know you'll be outside the U.S. for a year or longer, you must apply for this permit before you leave. Without it, your green card may not protect you. The re-entry permit is like a written promise to the government that you're coming back. It can last for up to 2 years, and it acts as solid proof that you intend to keep your residency. Think about 2 different scenarios. A green card holder from China accepts a 2-year assignment with her company in Singapore. Before leaving, she applies for a re-entry permit and brings it with her. After finishing the project, she returns smoothly, her status secure. Another person with the same opportunity doesn't bother applying. After 18 months abroad, he comes back to the U.S. with only his green card. The officer at the airport questions him, sees no strong U ties, and accuses him of abandoning his residency. The difference between the 2 stories is simple paperwork. One prepared, the other did not. The third rule is all about maintaining ties to the United States. A green card means permanent residency, but to prove that, you need to show evidence that America is your true home. That includes keeping a U.S. address, filing your taxes every year, maintaining a bank account, and ideally having a job here. These may seem like small things, but they're powerful evidence if you're questioned. Here's an example. A nurse from the Philippines visits her family overseas for 4 months every year, but she owns a house in the U.S., works full-time at a hospital, and files her taxes. When questioned by immigration officers, she has no trouble proving her permanent ties. Compare that to someone who spends the same amount of time abroad but rents out their U.S. apartment, closes their bank account, and works overseas instead. To officers, it looks like that person has shifted their life outside America. Under the new rules, the second person is much more likely to face accusations of abandoning residency. The fourth rule highlights criminal records and security checks. When green card holders travel abroad, they sometimes assume that their U.S. status protects them from extra scrutiny, but in reality, Coming back into the U.S. can trigger closer inspections. Officers now have greater authority to review your background. If you've been arrested abroad, even for something minor, or if you have unresolved legal issues in the U, sue may be flagged during re-entry. Consider this. A permanent resident goes on vacation abroad and gets into a minor legal issue, perhaps a traffic offense that results in a small fine. When he comes back, customs officers review his record and decide to place him in secondary inspection. He's questioned, delayed, and warned that even small problems overseas can have big consequences. The takeaway is that as a green card holder, you need to maintain a clean record everywhere, not just in the United States. Rule number 5 emphasizes documentation. Traveling as a green card holder now requires complete preparation. At minimum, you must have a valid green card and passport. But officers also have the right to ask for supporting documents, especially if you've been away for a while. That can include re-entry permits, proof of employment, tax records, or even utility bills. Without these, you could face delays or suspicion. Imagine arriving at the airport and realizing your green card expired while you were abroad, or worse, being asked for proof of use residence and having nothing to show under the new rules. This isn't just an inconvenience. It could lead to a serious challenge to your residency. Always keep your documents current, organized, and ready for inspection. The sixth rule is about naturalization, becoming a USS citizen. If that's your long-term goal, you must pay close attention to your travel history. The government requires continuous residence and physical presence in the U.S. to qualify for citizenship. Too much time abroad can break that requirement and reset your eligibility. Officers reviewing citizenship applications will now check travel records more closely. Let's say a green card holder from Mexico has lived in the U.S. for 5 years, but spent long stretches abroad, sometimes 4 or 5 months at a time. When she applies for citizenship, officers review her passport stamps and discover she spent more than half her time outside the U.S. They deny her application, saying she hasn't met the physical presence requirement. The new rules make it clear you can't treat your green card like a part-time residency if you want full citizenship. Finally, the seventh rule is about emergency powers. This is perhaps the most unpredictable change. The government has clarified that in times of global crisis, whether it's a pandemic, a national security concern, or international conflict, it can impose sudden restrictions on green card holders' ability to re-enter. These restrictions can happen without warning. Think back to the COVID-19 pandemic, when many green card holders were stuck abroad for months. Under the new rules, similar restrictions are not only possible, but explicitly recognized. This means that permanent residents must always be prepared for the unexpected. Keep backup funds, maintain digital copies of your documents, and avoid cutting it too close with long trips during unstable times. So what does this all mean for green card holders today? The message is simple. Permanent residency is a privilege that must be actively maintained. The U government wants to see proof that you truly live here. That means planning trips carefully, keeping your documents valid, maintaining strong ties, and avoiding risks abroad. It also means understanding that emergencies can change the rules overnight. Now let's bring this into perspective with real-life examples. A software engineer from India carefully keeps his trips abroad short, files taxes every year, and maintains steady employment in the U. On the other hand, an entrepreneur from Europe spends 18 months abroad setting up a business without applying for a re-entry permit. When he tries to return, officers accuse him of abandoning his residency, and he faces months of legal battles. These stories show the difference between success and failure comes down to preparation and awareness. So here's the big question. Are these rules fair? Do they make sense as a way to protect the immigration system, or do they unfairly burden permanent residents who simply want to travel freely? Share your opinion in the comments below. Your experience might help others facing the same challenges. If you found this update helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss important immigration news. We'll keep providing professional, clear, and practical explanations so you can stay prepared, protect your green card, and move confidently toward your future in the United States. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay prepared, and I'll see you in the next update.